You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
There's a big shift in the company's focus to be exploration for the time being and look to go and multiply some of these discoveries we believe we're just getting into. And with that, it's an absolute honor to have Tim take the role. The whole board was very excited for him to step in here and take it on. So Tim, real honor to have you join us in the capacity of CEO.
I think that, I think we have a really great recipe. The stock, to me, and I've seen this before, it's lost momentum. It's been down with the market, but I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. I'm very excited to be in here. I feel very fortunate to come in at a timing like this. What our plan is to try and shore up our treasury, raise some money, and get back to drilling and focus on that.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Bill Powers. This is Mining Stock Education. And in today's episode, we're going to be getting an update from Fury Gold Mines. There's been some management changes, a new addition. And so here to talk about that is Ivan Bebek. Ivan, you and the board have brought on Tim Clark. He is a board member, but now he's going to be the CEO. So let's just get right into it. Tell us why you and the board have confidence in Tim and what he brings to the table.
Sure, Bill. It's great to be back. And this is a huge change for the company and a very positive one. We've been through a fairly tough 10 months in challenging markets, and our share price has certainly not performed the way that we felt it should. We came to a crossroads as a board and where we wanted to be exploration or development. And as you know very well, this is not the market to go build a mine. Prices aren't there, capital's not readily available. And so, naturally we got to a crossroad there with that strategy, and Mike Timmins actually resigned as we decided to make a much stronger push towards exploration. Tim Clark was introduced to us by Mike back in March. He joined our board, and the whole board has had the luxury of getting to know Tim and see a lot of his strengths and what he brings to the table. And Tim's been in this business for over 23 years. I know I won't do justice, but he's worked with some of the top banking and brokerage firms, as well as some of the top CEOs in the business, giving them a lot of corporate and financial advice along the way. As these companies don't have revenue, Bill, we need to balance out our ability to finance, monetize our assets, and go get capital. And that's something I think that we can do, tremendously more effective here. And that's what Tim's really going to bring to the table outside of his great experiences corporately and some of his back experiences with other companies and his banking career. So I think it's an exciting inflection point. There's a big shift in the company's focus to be exploration for the time being and look to go and multiply some of these discoveries we believe we're just getting into. And with that, it's an absolute honor to have Tim take the role. The whole board was very excited for him to step in here and take it on. So Tim, real honor to have you join us in the capacity of CEO.
So Tim, you were a director, but it's one thing to be a director. It's another thing to be an executive. Kind of give us your assessment of Fury, where it's at, and your action steps to create value for shareholders.
Well, look, when I first stepped in, I recognized very early on that this was a great team and a great resource of individuals with a lot of experience. Mike brought me in. He's been a friend of mine for 15 years, way back when he was at Agnico Eagle. I think that we would have been a great compatible team, but he was looking more for a developing situation. And effectively, I think the company should be in exploration. It's the right call this time in the market. I think our focus should be on drilling and lowering costs, putting money in the ground. And I feel very comfortable in this spot. I think it's going to fit well with what my background is in the capital markets and raising money. As Ivan mentioned, I've spent a career working with CEOs across the board, not only just mining, but generally I've sat through my share of 20,000 meetings with clients as well as you have. And as we talked about earlier, it's really understanding the portfolio manager and investor and the individual, what they're looking for. And I think that, I think we have a really great recipe. The stock, to me, and I've seen this before, it's lost momentum. It's been down with the market, but I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. I'm very excited to be in here. I feel very fortunate to come in at a timing like this. What our plan is to try and shore up our treasury, raise some money, and get back to drilling and focus on that.
Tim, are you going to be raising money, or are there any ways to self-fund with the assets you have within the company?
Well, I think we're going to look at both options. We've got 3 great assets. We've got Homestake out in BC. We've got Committee Bay up in Nunavut, and then we've got Eclair up in Quebec. Our 2 main focus is going to be in Quebec and Nunavut. I think there's a lot of upside in the drilling. We've had good results, and there's a lot more coming out this fall. Homestake is something that we really like. We wouldn't want to sell it, but I think our focus is better on and really identifying where the most upside is for the company, and not get too complicated. This is a very simple story. It's about raising enough money and putting it in the ground in the right spots and being thoughtful about where we want to be. If we can raise some money off a Homestake, I'm all for it. We've talked about it, and I think that's probably the general direction we're going to go. But I think it's going to set us up for a lot of upside, and as investors want a clean message, and that's what we're going to get to.
Ivan, do you have anything to share on the capitalization of the company?
No, I echo what Tim said here. It's there's 2 core assets being Eau Claire and Committee Bay, and although we love Homestake, if it finally goes and we cash up off that, great. I think we're in a really, really good position here because we have some of our best holes we've drilled to date pending. They'll be out in September. That's the Committee Bay drilling, as well as the holes from Eau Claire's limb extension. Something we haven't talked a lot about is Percival, and that's coming to life here as well this fall. So, I really just want to hang off everyone's, patience here. There's big holes pending, and there's a really exciting exploration to come around the corner. Market opportunity is huge, as Tim pointed out. The deep value discount is massive, and for my friends, family, and anybody that follows things that I'm involved in, this is where I pound the table and say average down or take advantage of these low prices. We're at the end of August, which is a seasonal soft point in the company, and the change is going to be meaningful. I think you'll see a reduced burn rate going forward, a considerable one, and you'll see a hardline focus on things that are going to make the share price perform. And it's really cool to be at this stage where we've had 10 months to learn about Eau Claire, to learn about where to make it bigger, to learn about what else could give. There's 9 targets in the Eau Claire land position that we haven't talked much about, with the exception of Percival as of lately. So a lot to come. Really, really excited to have Tim here. And, I think it's time to raise the profile and simplify the story, as Tim pointed out.
Tim, we brought up divesting, but are you also considering acquiring beyond the projects you have?
No, I don't think. I think we've got enough on our hands right now, and we've got a great geology team. I have to say, it's one of the better teams that I've come across, and one of the resources I think is worth leveraging. And that's why I've been excited about it. But we've got a lot to handle already, and our intention is to make the best of it and just drill as much as we can, because I think that's where we're going to add value to the story and be attractive down the road.
Fury did have a huge drill program this year, but the assay labs were kind of slow. Is there any update in that front, or is it just it is what it is?
I think it is what it is, but we're trying to improve it. Ivan, you've probably have a little more experience in that from the feedback, but I think that effectively we're going to get better at what we do at everything.
Yeah, I think the only comment there from me, Bill, is we've had 4 drills turning through the summer. They're just finishing at Committee Bay now. So a lot more results in that slow pipeline per se. And they're scheduling to come out in through September here. So the next 30 days are going to be awesome, from a results perspective. And, there's no real way to fix slow assay labs. And that's largely in part due to the current environment with new restrictions and rules. And, there's a lot of unexplainable things with assay labs in all parts of the business. But as Tim said, we're going to just create a pipeline of news that can really drive forward and keep the catalysts ongoing. And we're at a logjam now waiting for a lot of results that will be coming out. So it's an exciting time for us.
In next year coming up with your drill program that you plan beyond what you've already planned, is there anything different we should expect when you're saying we're an exploration company? Is there a different exploration thesis that you're going to develop, or could you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. This year we drilled a lot of holes nearby Eau Claire, the deposit, and we were looking to incrementally add ounces as well as we did the step outs, right? But as you and everyone's seen, Snake Lake has given us a really good place to go. I mean, there's mineralization 95 grams over half a meter, a kilometer down from the surface resource that's our potential deposit that's there already. And then if you look at holes pending from limb extension and what we drilled at the hinge, these are all places we can go back and we can multiply the size of Eau Claire. But you're going to see Percival get drilled sometime this winter or this late fall. And when that starts happening, I mean, it could replicate or multiply what we have at Eau Claire. It's a huge target for us. And so I think next year you just get a lot more of the new ounces that are in new places. I think our confidence is much higher now than it was this year. We processed all the data that we had, which was a huge amount of data from the Eastmain group before us. And so I think probability of, adding ounces goes up in areas we've seen already, such as Snake Lake and the Limb and possibly the Hinge. And I think just listen for new targets. And, we might have our discovery at Committee Bay that we talked about for 5 years at Orin. We've most certainly drilled the best looking rock that we have in those 5 years. So if those two things work out for us, Bill, and we're well on our way, the theme's going to be different. And I think when Tim talks about exploration, it's a lot cheaper than talking about development. And it takes away that huge capital requirement of the company in a rush timeline where you're going to be forced to raise capital in challenging markets. We now have the luxury of drilling at our pace. And, I think the luck's going to come into it through the drill bit and expect more exciting exploration. That's our thing.
Tim, any final words as you're being introduced here? What more would you like to say to investors?
Well, I just think it's an exciting time in the market for gold. I think we've seen a pullback here. I've seen this many times. It's a very seasonal event, and it's not going to take much to push this stock upward, assuming we can get a little bid on the price of gold. But at the same time, we're adding value not only through the drill bit, but execution on our side. There's a lot of companies out there to choose from, and I think I lucked out and got a great group. It's as much about leadership as it is about finding the right spot to drill.
Excellent. Well, the website is furygoldmines.com, and the ticker symbol is super simple, FURY, Fury, on the big boards in Toronto and in New York. Ivan, Tim, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.